All right, today we're talking about direct variation. Okay, you need to know this is a parent function. Okay, it's just y equals k times x, where k does not equal 0. So it's any number except for 0. K cannot be 0. K is what we call the constant of variation. All right, it changes the equation, but yet it's constant. It keeps changing at the same rate. It's a constant of variation. The graph of y equals kx always passes through the origin. So today, everything we do is going to pass through the origin. And remember, the origin is where x and y meet, right? So any graph we make today, okay, goes through the origin. It's going to look like this, or like that, or like that. All right, any questions? All right, write down, name the constant of variation. Name the constant of variation. Okay, you see something like this, we got to name the constant. Okay, remember, the base function was y equals kx. K is the constant. So what's the constant here? Y equals negative 4x. It's what's replaced k, which in this case it's negative 4. Okay, because remember, y equals kx, and k was the constant, right? So what's the constant of y equals 1/2 x? 1/2. All right. Okay. You're going to see problems like this where you graph the equation, right? Where y equals negative 6x. You know it's going through the origin, so that's our start. Okay. What I want to do is I want to make a table. I'm going to pick 3 or 4 points. Okay. It doesn't matter where, and then we're going to graph them. So I'm going to pick. Let's go 1, 2. And I'm going to go -1 and -2. Okay? It doesn't matter which ones you pick. Plug 1 in for x. What's -6 times 1? -6. What's 2 times -6? -12. What's -1 times -6? 6. What's -2 times 6? Or positive 12. So then you graph it. -2, 12. -1, 6. 1, -6, and then 2, 12. So it's going to look like that. And there is the line. Okay, it should be a little bit straighter than that. Okay, but that's all you're going to do today, is just graph. So we make a table, pick a couple points, x coordinates, plug them in, get our y. All right, so let's do this one. We have y equals 2/3 x. So if I make a table, all right, I'm going to pick some numbers like 3 and 6 and 9. I'm going to do -3 as well. So I plug in 3 for x. 2/3 of 3 is what? It's 2. The 3's cancel, remember? 2/3 of 6. It's 4. 2 times 2. Okay. 2/3 of 9. 6. And let's do -3. It would be -2. Okay. Do you want to see why I picked 3, 6, 9 and -3? Because it's all going to come out even, right? Okay. I don't want to have to work with fractions, but I can because if I picked 1, I would have got 2/3, right? That's kind of hard to graph. 3, 2 is not. So then we just graph the 4 points. Which, by the way, it goes through the origin. And so there you go. That's what it looks like. Any questions? Okay. Write this down. It says for direct variation equation, we can say that y varies directly as x. So as x changes, y changes the same amount. All right, so suppose y varies directly as x and y equals 72 when x equals 8. So the first thing I got to do is write a direct variation equation that relates x and y. All right? So write this down. Alright, so what we're going to do, we need to write a direct variation equation that relates x and y. Okay? So I need to figure out what k is, because that's what I don't know. So the first thing I do is I replace y with 72. Okay, k is what I don't know, but I know what x is, and that's 8. So this is what I've got so far. Okay, I need to figure out what k is. So k times 8 equals 72. What does k have to be? We have to divide both of these by 8. K equals 9. So now I can write a direct variation equation, and that's y equals 9x. The second part of the question is going to be this. It's going to say use the direct variation equation to find x when y equals 63. Well, I know what my direct variation equation is now. Okay? It's y equals 9x. So what I do is I plug in 63 for y, and I find x. So I divide both these sides by 9. What does x got to be? 7. So there's my answer. Write this down, all of it. Alright, so the question says suppose y varies directly as x and y equals 98 when x equals 14. Okay? The first part, write a direct variation equation that relates x and y. Then it's going to say find y when x equals negative 4. So the first thing we got to do is find k. Okay, we got to find k. I know that y equals k times x, right? That's my equation. So I plug in y. I plug in k, and I plug in 14. So what do I do to find k?
Divide 14.
Divide by 14 to both sides. How many times is 98, or how many times is 14 go to 98?
7. 6. 2.
Somebody tell me. Okay, 14 goes to 98 7 times. So now I have a direct variation equation. It's y equals 7x. Now what I do is I plug in x, because that's what they give me, and I find my y. What's negative 4 times 7? So y equals negative 28. So that's my two answers. Y equals 7x and y equals negative 28. Alright, here's your homework.